Hello, it's Laura Camacho here, ready for the webinar. Let's see who is here. This is how to stand out in a crowd of talent. It's career hacks for introverts. Karen, so good to see you. Diane, welcome. Jennifer, welcome. Kimberly, Renessa. Wow. Oh, and there are more coming on. Yes. Jules, this is awesome. Welcome. I'm in my husband's violin studio. He's got really good internet. So I like to do my webinars in here, even though he's a little cluttery. But anyway, welcome. This is a webinar especially for introverts or people that are on the, introversion and extroversion is a spectrum. It's not an either or. And most of my friends are kind of in the middle. So these are some things that you need to know that I wish I had known years ago. Hey, Will, good to see you. So I'm going to show you my slides, and I'm going to go through 7 things that you need to do, or that I pulled out 7 items that I think are important. Now, please ask questions not in the Q&A, but in the chat. Use that for answering questions. Let me make sure I've got the chat. So yes, so just put your questions there. That'll be easier for me to see. But right now, I am going to share my screen and go to my slides for this. Stand out in a crowd of talent. Yes. So most of you, or a lot of you, know me. Some of you don't. I founded Smithsonian Institute actually when I was living in Greenville, North Carolina in 2009. I was teaching at East Carolina University. One thing that's new is I was just invited to join the Forbes Council of Coaches, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I speak Spanish and some other languages. I'm very, international like that. I'm obsessed and always have been with developing human potential. My first dive into this field was being a facilitator for the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And that's important because it informs, even to this day, even though that was a long time ago, that really informs all my work. And then, of course, introverts are my people, and I'm very grateful to Susan Kane, who made it legit. And I am working on a little bit of rebranding, and I just wanted to show you some of the names of my classes now. My growth mindset is now called Grow Your Brain. The critical conversations is now called We Have to Talk. Public speaking is now called Say It Out Loud. My networking class is now called Nice to Meet You. My emotional intelligence is called Emotional About It. And then the conversational stylist, there are 4 basic conversation styles. And I have a nice lunch and learn about that. That's pretty popular with people. So why am I doing this? And why is this actual title was suggested by someone in the community, maybe even somebody that's on this call. They were asking me, how can I stand out in a crowd of talent? And the thing, if you were a good student in school, and I'm talking about, elementary school, high school, college, you learn to turn in the work that the teacher asked for. You get these, parameters, do this work, and you turn it in, and you probably did a good job, and you got a good grade, and all was good in the world. I mean, maybe you some things you perform better than others, but it was clear, if you do the work, you get the grade. And the thing is, like, for people like me, and I'm sure some of you, that we did pretty well academically. I mean, kindergarten was my best year, I will say, but even after that, it was easy. And so you can get easy to go into the work world thinking that you do a good job and you get promoted. And that may happen somewhat, but you will see yourself sometimes that the kinds of people who were good at getting the teacher to give them extra credit or extra projects, that they have that skill in getting more opportunities sometimes. And then that's true whether you're growing your own business. I know some of you have your own business and some of you are in corporate. So there's a lot of opportunities that quiet people can get left out of simply because they don't come to mind when these opportunities come up. People that are making the decisions think of the people who are more talkative. And that also can translate into lost income. And I put justice. I don't think the social justice warriors would accept me. But I do feel that, the people who are extroverted have an advantage, especially in corporate, because, well, for reasons I'll go into in just a minute. So it's really a win-win, though. It's not just, hey, I want more recognition. It is better for the community, better for the company, better for the world if the leadership is hearing from everybody, not just the talkative people. And there's some science to this. Our brains are kind of lazy. We're always looking for shortcuts and patterns. And I'll just give you one example that really plays out in the working world, really everywhere. And that is, if you are outspoken, you come across often as confident. And people assume if you're confident, that you're competent. And that's not always, those are not always correlated, but that's what people assume. They don't test, they don't look for necessarily evidence. Is that person really as competent as they seem to think? Is their apparent faith in themselves and their abilities, is that justified? Rarely will people actually verify that. So if you appear to be confident, people assume that you have something to be confident about. Another science, this is all verified by science, by MRIs. There's just so much neuroscience research out there. And all the messages pass through something called the amygdala, which is the fight or flight part of the brain. And so establishing trust is really important. And one of the ways, so if there's a person that, hail, well, man, what is that? Hell, there's some expression about the guy that just walks into the room and talks to everybody and pats them on the back. That person appears very confident. And so our lizard brain says, oh, we can trust that person. But as quieter people, you can also instill trust, even more so perhaps than someone who doesn't think as deeply as you do, but you have to kind of be strategic about it. And then there's one point called the power of the unexpected positive, and that's your secret weapon. I'm going to go into, the structure of this is we're going into the generalities and the assumptions, and as I get through the half hour, we're going to go into more specific. But there are studies that show that the brain records much more strongly an unexpected positive experience than just something that was, like if you go to a store or a restaurant and the service was good and the food was good, that's fine. But if they surprise you, like with a free dessert or something, just has to be like, wow, that sticks in your brain, and so you talk about it. So that's another thing I'm going to talk to you about, leveraging that at work to surprise people. But, it's hard to do. So you're not going to be like surprising and delighting every person at every moment of the day, but it's something you can use strategically. Premises, so you know that everything you want comes to you through people, whether it's jobs, promotions, clients, projects. So really interpersonal relationships is the key. And number two, all other things being equal, the extrovert behavior is more memorable just because they talk more and they have more time, more close face-to-face time with people. So people remember them more. So if you're a quiet person, you need to be strategic. You have some options. You could actually pretend to be an extrovert and do the same, just mimic the same behavior. And a lot of us do that, but as you know, it's completely exhausting. Jill Rowley is a chief growth officer of a digital marketing firm, a huge one in California named Marketo. And I heard her and met her this spring. And her big thing is show me that you know me. And so that's going to be your secret weapon that when you are trying to get clients or trying to make a good impression on certain people for a reason, if you do the research to show them that you know them, you're gonna make points. All right, so my first tip is about intention. And that means getting clear about what you want, whether it's what you want in your job or what you want out of this meeting or what you want out of this conversation. And this is where the introvert has strength, because we are thinkers. We tend to dive into a topic. We are good at, thinking. So what is your intention? And if just that clarity will give you ideas, because here's something important. Your brain will answer any question that you ask it. I mean, our brains are pretty amazing. So if you ask your brain, why does this always happen to me? Your brain will answer, and it may be something like, well, maybe you're stupid, or maybe you're just unlucky. But if you ask, why am I so successful? Your brain will say, well, it's because you went to this webinar and you learned some things and you made a decision and things took off for you after that. Or you decided to hire a coach or something happened. I mean, if you ask yourself that question, your brain will answer it, and that will shift your behaviors. But anytime you have a critical meeting I encourage you to think about, what do I want out of that meeting, or even an email. Like, what do I want this person to feel as a result of reading this? What do I want them to know? And what do I want them to do? So if you really get clear on your intention, if you journal or write things down, I strongly recommend that you do that. So being clear on your intention. And number 2, your mindset. The mindset that you need is to realize your value. And that is like the hardest thing. That is the number one thing that I work with my coaching clients. And I have a coach for that reason, because it's so easy, especially for an introvert, to be discouraged by the apparent, and the key word is apparent, superiority of our peers or other people, because they're so talkative and it's so at ease socially. And so you have to get clear with yourself. Hey, even though I'm not a schmoozer or a natural schmoozer, I have value. I know this. I know things. I'm good at things. I have a voice. I have something to say. That's what the mindset you need to come to the table with, is that even if this proposal that I have is rejected, it is worth hearing. Even though this person might tell me no, I'm worth it to try, to ask for things, to seek things that you may be successful with or you may not. That's getting your brain, getting your mindset in order, and that's extremely important. And I just see with my clients that some things can happen and it throws off their confidence, and it's hard to get back. So you've got to go back to, you have value, you have a purpose, and you have a unique set of talents and strengths. All right, body language. And I have the hands there for a reason. And let me tell you, there was a study done of the top TED Talks, the ones that got millions of views, and they compared them to the ones who got very few views. And the ones with the most views had more hand gestures. And another thing about trust, remember, trust cuts through all communication. There's some innate communication, body communication, that if we see your hands, we feel safer with you. So that's one thing you can do. If you're the quieter person at the meeting, use your hands, gesture, even touch people, lightly on the shoulders, maybe, that depends on the situation. Having open body language when you go to a networking meeting, even stretching out your body like this before something big just opens up. And think about the position that you're in when you're on your phone. It's like this. And there's a mind-body loop. And so if you don't have the right body language, then it's hard to have the right mindset, and it's hard to fulfill your intention because you're all like in this very inner focused, seemingly afraid position, and opening up because you're showing vulnerability. Here's my body. That will make you feel more relaxed, and that comes across as confident. So there's a whole lot of body language, but just two takeaways for you are to use your hands to gesture and to make sure that you just open up, open. You can, if you're in a meeting, you can put your arm on the back of a chair. You just want to be taking up space and being open. All right, so even though you're an introvert, you can start better conversations. Again, the extrovert has the advantage because they just open their mouth and all kinds of fun things come out. And introverts, we tend to like, and I know this has happened to me so many times, what am I going to say? Oh my gosh, how is this conversation going? What am I going to say? And then, this is true if you're an introvert, that sometimes you like hanging out with certain people because they take over the conversation and you don't even have to worry about it. Now, it can get annoying because they just seem to, what I call diarrhea of the mouth, or just like a run-on sentence. But literally with those people, you do not have to think about what to say. But that's a laziness on our part. If we let people take over like that at work, then we're seen as a weaker player or somebody who's not contributing, because we're allowing, John, he always talks his head off. He always is the first and the last to speak. And so if you don't like take the initiative and be heard and possibly interrupt the chatterbox, then you're not going to be considered an A player. And so again, use your natural strength as an introvert. Have some go-to questions that you ask people that have to do with why they're doing something, or asking about, family, if it's a family-oriented person. But you can have better quality conversations even if you're not talking as much. And this is my go-to question. What's been the best part of your day, or the best part of your week, or what's been the best thing that's happened to you this month? And there are two really good reasons this question is an excellent one, because it forces the person that I'm asking to think about something good. And when you're thinking about something positive, it puts you in a better mood. And if you're in a better mood with another person, then in your brain, you associate good mood, with Laura, because she's asking me about the best part of my day. Now, once you get to know someone and you want to become more innocent, then you can talk about childhood traumas or, bad things that have happened. But when you're getting to know a person, asking them what was the best part of your summer, or what did you like best? Just any question that forces their brain to make a decision and talk about something positive, that positivity is going to reflect on you and makes you a more interesting person. And remember, everybody wants to talk about themselves. Everybody has stories. You can learn from everybody. So you can become a better conversationalist, even if you are not a talker, a chatterbox. And that's definitely my case. I hate talking about myself, and generally will deflect and deflect and deflect. Any questions about me, I'll answer them, but I tend to deflect and say, but what about you? But tell me. But that's a skill you can cultivate, and it's definitely a leadership skill. It's a networking skill. And it's not hard, and it can really take you a long way. And that's really been how I've built my business here in Charleston, is just talking to so many people and having good conversations. All right, so I've got two more tips for you. And think, this is now the experience economy. You've probably heard about that. And client experience, and the experience officer, and the experience department. And so you can think about, as an introvert, you're a thoughtful person. How do people experience you? And I just alluded to this in the other point about the positivity, you know, the thinking of a positive thing. Now you can take it to the next level by creating stalker files. And you can call it something else. You can call it your personnel files or just files, but my stalker file is not that stalkerish, but I keep their name and the address and the date that I've talked to them and what kind of contact. But this is me. I'm interested in growing my business. For you, you could have you could be interested in growing a nonprofit organization, or you could be interested in getting to know people in your community. But the people in your network that you want to build relationships with, you want to know what's their favorite color, what's their favorite snack, when is their birthday, that kind of information. That's the show me that you know me. When somebody sends you, well, I'll just give you an example. I was speaking to someone who works at a charter school. It's a system of 4 charter schools here in town, and she's hugely into the experience. And what she does is she keeps this file with lots of information. You know, there's color, there's snack, their favorite drink, and she has it on an Excel spreadsheet. So she's a teacher at the school who's having a really bad day. And my friend Kathleen goes to her file, sees that her favorite drink is a LaCroix lime flavored water, and brings her one because she's got a cooler of LaCroix, because that's something that's common at their school. And then with one 79-cent canned drink, totally turns around this teacher's day. Yeah. So anytime with converse, if you know what to talk about, you know things to reference. If you know, you can say it's creepy. I don't know. It's just getting to know people. This is how we do it now. It used to be we knew everybody that lived in our village, and now we get to know the people that we want to because of everything that's online. But that's a really good way if you're in sales, if you're building your business, or if you've got some kind of project in mind, create your files on these people. It's not like it's secret information. Oh, and this is like an amazing tip. In fact, it's really good for introverts who have leadership positions in companies, as well as people who are building their business. And that is, as you can see, to use video. Now, by using video, as in video emails or videos, well, basically video messaging. I talked to a leadership expert last week, and he was telling me that everybody wants intimacy with other people. They want to get to know you. They want to feel like they know you as a person, not just as a role. And you can video now. You can use it. There's BombBomb, B-O-M-B, BombBomb as a service. It's very easy to use. It costs though $40 a month. Vaetas is here in Charleston. It's spelled VAETAS.com, Vaetas. That's $25 a month. The BombBomb has a free trial. And then if you're in a company, you can send videos to replace some of the meetings. Or like if you want to have like a little pep talk every Monday, sending one video to 7 people replaces 7 different conversations. And it feels good. It feels, personal. You do have to get over seeing yourself in the camera, and that takes some doing. So I'm going to close. So I'm going to go look at the questions in just a minute. Anyway, you've got the tools. You know that people want you to show them that you know them. You know that we're making assumptions and taking shortcuts all the time. You know that you as an introvert are better able, this is something that the extroverts have a hard time with, is doing the deep dive and really thinking deeply and carefully. But you can use that ability you have to build relationships that are not based on just hours of chatter, but based on strategic, friendly, well-designed, well-crafted conversations with people. Experiment, try things. What you want to do is you want to get to know people and you want to stick in their brains in a positive way. And I've given you some tools. There are others, but that's basically how it happens. If you want help with this, I offer coaching 3-month and 6-month packages. It's really focused on communication, but this is a form of communication. And please keep in touch. This is my, don't go away because I want to see what questions we have here. All right, anybody have questions? Hey, Erica, Jackie, you were not, last time I checked the roll, you were not there. Oh, I see a question. Here's a couple of questions in the Q&A. Will there be a recorded replay? Yes. How to manage the talkers to stay on track? Sarah, great question. And I'm going to add on to that and also about the talkers interrupting. So you have to interrupt them and say, this doesn't seem to be part of our agenda. This seems to be getting offline. We need to have this as a separate conversation. And not in a mean way, even though you can't. I mean, in my case, I get annoyed with people that do this, but treating the person as important, like what you have to say is important, and this is not the place for it. That's all. And also recall that all the communication is based on habits. So you can have the habit of interrupting or being interrupted, or you can have the habit of shutting up when people interrupt you. And I encourage you, if someone interrupts you, that you keep talking. And nobody's going to understand each other, but you are communicating to yourself and to the others in the room that what you have to say matters. But definitely you want to it's really respect for everybody in the room to keep the conversation on what we said we were going to talk about. That's accountability. And if the leader of the meeting is not doing that, certainly you should step up and say, hey, this is an interesting side conversation that we will do at another time. Let me see what other questions we have. The person with the strongest intention is the person most likely to win. Point number 4. Yes, point number 4, there was no number 4. Sorry about that. But to make up for it, I am sending you with but I'll go into the intention part too, and say why that is true. When you get the replay email, I'm sending you 6 extra resources, which are all on the same topic. It's some inspiration and some ideas from other people, because as wise as I am, I don't know it all yet. So I'm going to send you just 6 resources for this webinar. But why does the person with the strongest intention win in any negotiation? I mean, most of the time, because the person is more clear and knows what he or she is willing to pay for or give up in order to achieve the goal. That person has done more homework, has done more research, and that translates into confidence. When you know your stuff, when you know why you're there, when you know what you will give up and won't, you just become across as so powerful. And that is the introvert's advantage, is the preparation. You can do that, but what stops us is seeing somebody with this apparent confidence that's really just thinking out loud. They themselves will say, oh, I'm just BSing. And they are, but it sounds like, because we think so much about what we're going to say, especially if we're speaking up in a meeting, we assume that other people are doing the same. It's not true. They're coming from a different point of view. Let's see if win. Yes. All right. So are there any other questions? I thank you. We are almost at 30 minutes. I hope you all have a good rest of your day. And we're going to send you a short, I think there's like 4 questions, survey. Tell me what other topics you're interested in. As you see, these are very intense, very to the point. I do mess up sometimes with like numbering. I don't really, I don't know what, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. But I do make up for it by sending you extra resources. And have a great rest of your week and keep in touch. And I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.